Awesome. All right. A very good evening. I trust that you are doing well. Welcome to the webinar where I get to sharing and unpacking for you property investing fundamentals. Not the sexiest name I know, but this is what we are about this evening. Why waiting for the perfect time will immobilize you and cause you to fail. So I trust that the webinar ahead is something that you have been anticipating and waiting for. So on today's webinar, I just want to share that we are going to be diving in and getting started in property. I'll be able to show you a simple strategy that allows you to create an income, grow your confidence in property, in finding a property opportunity, and what you can do with it. There are so many things that I've learned about property investing since I've joined the world of property investing, and I now get to sharing so much of my journey. Now, if you don't already have property education, that is okay. That truly is okay, okay? Because we'll cover some strategies, the overall strategy in terms of when it comes to property investing. So I want to say thank you again for showing up this evening. I want to let you know that you rock. Oh, mind me, these things are starting with me again. I seem to never learn. I seem to never learn because once again, I'm back in the home office with the sliding door open and all these beetles are up in my business. But nonetheless, thank you so much. You rock. I want to say, if you have not already, get yourself a pen and paper so that you can write down what it is that clicks into you as we go through this webinar. As I usually do, I try my best not to make the webinar too long, but I also know that you've taken the time out to come and join me this evening. So I want to say well done on doing so. You already winning. You already surpassed so many others that are still just sitting and pondering and wondering how do they get started in property investing. So what I'd like you to do right now, get rid of the distractions, get ready to take notes, start asking questions. We've got a chat box, and you'll find that when you click on, I think it's participants, you'll be able to click on the chat box, and this is where we're going to be asking our questions. So if I call it a chat box or a Q&A box, I'm just really meaning click on the chat and ask the questions that you need. So I would love that you would engage with me. I know that sometimes when I see questions coming through, if I know I'm going to cover it in content, I just continue. But if you feel towards the end that I did not answer your questions, then at the end I've opened for Q&A, right? So let's get to testing the chat box right now. So what I'd like you to do is go into the chat box. If you hear me loud and clear, all right, and you got your pen and paper with you, I would like you to type in the number one. Type in the number one. The number one, show me that you are ready. Let's get to talking. Type in the number one. Fantastic stuff. Guys, I see the number one coming through. The number one is trickling through quick and fast. Well done. It then means that you can hear me and I can see that you can hear me. Does it make sense? So, all right. So I trust that if you're on your desktop, close everything else. Okay, let's get rid of those distractions. If you've got your cell phone, just make peace with your cell phone and say we will see each other again in the next little less than an hour. I'm going to try and make this one a little faster, probably within the hour maximum. All right. I know that again, like I said, you've taken time out to be here, and I want to share as much as possible with you. So we always get asked this question whenever we go to self-development courses. What's your why? And I want to challenge that one just a little bit, right? So I want to ask you, what is your why for wanting to be in the property investing space? What makes you curious about being in the property investment space? People who generally have a strong why are 87% more likely to succeed in business than people who don't. All right. And that's statistically proven. And I truly believe that the stronger your reason why, the more likely you are to succeed. Your why will literally squash your excuses. And I say that quite bravely because I have seen how the reasons behind my why trumps any other excuses that I may come up with. So, ladies and gents, this evening, I just want to share with you a very, very quick story that is really inspirational to me. You see, on the 6th of May, 1965, something absolutely incredible happened. For decades and decades prior to this particular date, humans believed it was physically impossible to break the 4-minute mile. But on the 6th of May, 1965, Roger Bannister demolished it. He broke the 4-minute mile, the 4-minute mile that people tried for decades and decades. But you see what for me is interesting? What's truly, truly interesting is that for all these decades and centuries prior to that, not anyone ever believed it was possible. But as soon as Roger did it, there was a gentleman by the name of John Landley. And I truly kind of put myself in his shoes. And I imagine that he sat there that day thinking, if Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, if he did it, surely I can do it too. And those are the things that go through my mind on this is how I believe he sat there and pondered. And you know what is interesting is that just 46 days later, John Landley broke it too. And it didn't take anybody else too much longer, because since then, dozens and dozens of people were able to break this 4-minute mile. But what is fascinating is that we'll always remember Roger, because it was Roger that broke it after centuries and decades of people believing that it was impossible. So he literally made the impossible possible. And because he made it possible, John and so many others have broken that 4-minute mile for so many times thereafter. And I really relate to the story, and I share the story quite often, because you see, in our property investing journey, it was on the 4th of August 2017 that we broke our 4-minute mile. And I'll tell you why I called this date. I could call on a lot of different dates, but this date, something fascinating happened. Something fascinating in the sense that we stepped into the training room, we got our training, we got our education, we got our coaching. We plowed the field for long, long after that. And because we had gotten into property investing, and I call it on the back foot, which we were in 5 million debt, we never really thought it was possible, but we pushed. And in pushing, I remember getting into the seminar, Leroy being the speaker, and Leroy gave his testimony and he shared. And I thought to myself, if Leroy could rise above his circumstances and break his 4-minute mile, why can I not do that? Why should I make debt stop me from doing anything and from succeeding, right? And I want to just say it's that for the first time, I truly believed it was possible, because an offer to purchase was signed on this day. Not only was the offer to purchase signed on this day, I remember TJ calling Andrew, our coach, and he asks Andrew, this offer to purchase needs a deposit. Where am I going to get a deposit from? And Andrew asked, but how much money do you have? He says, I don't have money. The only money that is tangible that I have right now is 1,000 Rand. And Andrew said, well, that offer to purchase requires a deposit. It didn't say how much of a deposit. So write down that you are going to give a 1,000 deposit. I swear for a moment, I thought Andrew had lost the plot. I thought, now we're in trouble, okay? And yet that was the day the offer to purchase was accepted. The offer that we made with a 1,000 Rand deposit blew my mind. And this is what I call this the day real estate investing, our 4 minute mile was broken. We put our heads down and we worked really, really hard. But you see what was fascinating though? The moment it was broken, what happened between the 4th of August and the 3rd of December? September, October, November, December, just 4 months. Everything that we had been working on for the first 6 months rapidly, it felt like it felt like a whirlwind. Why? Because on the 3rd of December, TJ writes through to Sean. Sean Thompson was our trainer. He writes through to Lawrence and to Andrew because both of them coached us at a given point. And he addressed them and shared the wins that we were able to put into the bag, being 5 million in debt. He was then also able to explain the deals that are in the pipeline. And for me, that's when I realized as well the power of relationship, because there was relationships that we were harnessing, but because things were not coming to fruition in the time we expected it to come, all right, and it was not coming to the way we wanted it to come. But between August and the 3rd of December, literally 4 months, the things that manifested was absolutely second to none. And with that, Andrew responded to our email addressing TJ and myself and said a massive congratulations to both of us. Why? Because he worked alongside TJ for a very long time. For a while, I was despondent. I pulled myself out of the game. But when I put myself back into the game, my husband had his head down and he was still pushing. He was still pushing. And I learned vicariously from him. And I thought it was going to be unfair that all of a sudden I jump into the coaching sessions that I hadn't been part of. But TJ diligently came back and shared day in and day out, this is what the outcome of our coaching sessions were. And through that, I literally leveraged what my husband had been going through. And I'd gone through coaching with my head down, doing what I needed to do, TJ doing what he needed to do. And just in that first year, there were so many things that happened. And we were truly thankful that when Andrew said, set your goals, put your plan in place, and don't deviate from the plan. Those were 3 nuggets I always keep in mind, because I'm just thinking, why would he say set your goals? Because if we don't plan, all right, if we don't plan, we end up planning to fail and not planning to win. If we just go in and we just trust on our instincts or our skills alone. But he said, set your plans, okay? And then he said, put your plan in place. So if we've set our plan, we know exactly where we're going to, we put it in place and we don't deviate from it. There are times that will get difficult, but if there's anything that I can truly say is that exactly 1 year after property education and our coaching, through our coaching, we had people standing behind us, cheering us on. And in fact, for me, this is where I draw so much strength from, because I had to learn from my husband. I had to come down from whatever victim mentality I was going through and learn from him, because at that point in time, yes, I know he may have had frustrations, he may have had whatever, but he had his eye on the goal. And for me, I'm truly thankful that I had a partner in crime that had his eye on the goal. And right now, because I know what it feels like to go through a journey and feel alone. It's not only in our property investing journey did I feel that way. Some days I still feel that way in my entrepreneurial journey, but because relationships that I've been able to harness, I now know better. And through learning from my husband, learning from him and I brainstorming, him taking the ideas through to Andrew, Andrew sharing feedback, and him and I coming back and saying, which way are we going? For me, I am thankful that I'm in a situation where I can then draw strength from him. So I want to ask you this evening. You see, my goal is for everyone to see this and say, okay, Jenna, this is what I want to ask you. Are you ready to take up your 4-minute mile? For me, my goal is for everyone that has got curiosity around property investing, or they may be stuck this evening. Are you ready to pick up your mantle? Because my goal is for everyone to see this and say, okay, Jenna, you are 5 million in debt, right? It's not a small number. It's not that number humbled me like nobody's business. I thought I was humble. It took me straight to my knees. And if you started investing when you were 5 million in debt, Jen, I'm ready to take up my 4-minute mile challenge. So I want to ask you, are you ready to take up your 4-minute mile challenge? Just think about that for a short moment, okay? Because as you can see, for me, I scream about it, I eat it, I sleep it, I drink it, I share it, I teach it, I do it. So I'm not teaching something that is foreign and it's a concept to me and it's theory. The only bits that I will tell you so far in property investing, that if you're looking for a auction coach, I am not your coach. Very, very clearly I can say that. But do I know people that are good in auctions? Surely I will be able to then refer you to them. But in what I teach, I am thankful that I can stand strong and say, I walk the walk and I talk the talk. So my goal again, like I'm saying, is it's for everyone to see this and say, okay, Jenna, you were 5 million Rand in debt and you started investing in property. I'm taking on the my 4-minute mile challenge. Would you think about that? All right. Awesome stuff. Guys, I want to ask you again this evening, how will you use property investing to achieve your next goal? How will you use it? Just think about it. In the chat field, what I'd like you to do, just drop me a number 2, the number 2, if you're following what I'm saying and it makes sense to you so far. I want to see some of the number 2 strolling in. And as it's coming in, can I just take a little bit of water? Fantastic stuff. This is great. Guys, I see that you're with me so far. So I want to say, how will you use property investing to achieve your next goal? I know some of you, before you came onto the webinar, you reached out to me and you said, Jen, I just want to resign. I want to say this at this point in time. Property investing is not a quick get rich quick scheme. It is a patient job. Okay. So can we agree that a lot of what we do in property investing may give you an income stream, may be able to sustain you, but being realistic, you're not going to sign um, a 1 million rand check in the next 3 months. Can we agree on that? So I want you to think very nicely and very slowly about how will, okay, there's these beetles again. I'm sorry, guys. How will you use property investing to achieve your next goal? Think about what is it that your next goal is. And let's see how we can put realistic processes in place. So, and I say that because there's so many times people come in and they ask me, so how long would it take for me to leave my job? And I say, everyone's got a different circumstance. Where are you? What is it that you are wanting to achieve? But if you earn 20,000 today, for example, do you really think it is possible that in the next 3 months you're signing your resignation? Let's be realistic. Let's put realistic things in. But I also don't say it's never possible. I've not encountered it. I've not met anybody in my circle that encountered it. So you may be the exception to the rule. However, I want to say, for you to achieve anything in terms of goals within property investing, you need to be able to commit your time. You need to be able to say, I am not dabbling. I am going all in. You see, the people on the left-hand side, and Christmas is just around the corner, hey, less than a month from now. The people on the left-hand side, they were dabbling. But the ones on the right-hand side, they went all in. So I want to say to you, for your property investing goal to come to pass, you need to be all in. It is not a quick get rich quick scheme. This, I know, yes, we were in 5 million debt, but all the things that we had gone through in terms of learning, we were able to sell our farm. I mean, that's one of our biggest achievements that we did within the first year of getting into property investing. We sold our farm. That took that 5 million debt down. But it's the how in which we did it. And also, we also did it quick, because the longer we stayed having the farm, the more in debt we got in a month-to-month process. So sometimes if something is not working, there are times people go into their shell almost like a tortoise, and then other times others are like an ostrich. They stick their head in the sand and hope that the problem will go away, and it doesn't work that way. So I want to say, if you're dabbling, don't start at property investing. But if you want to go all in to see what it can give you and what you can achieve from it, then I'm going to say, just like Tony, because I love this quote from him, if you want to take the island, burn the boat. By no means am I suggesting that tomorrow you're going to go and resign from your job. But I'm saying to you, burn the excuses, throw the excuses out the window, and you get yourself up and going and find out where is it that you are wanting to be. Because when you establish where you're wanting to be, burn the boats. I really get excited when I see something like this, because I mean, just think about it. See that visual, you burning the boat, and you say to yourself, there's no way I'm going back. There is no means of me going back. So what am I going to do? Just look ahead and go all in. I am not going to dabble. So now in this webinar, I'm going to share a couple of tools, tips, and strategies with you about getting started in property investing. But just before we get in there, I would like us to make a commitment together, because by no means do I want to push this on you. Is that okay with you? I want to see that's okay with you. If this is okay with you, in the chat field, type okay. Just O. All right. Awesome. You lit up my chat field there. Well done. This is okay with you. I am absolutely happy that it's okay with you. So can we put it together, Jen? Let's say this together, guys. Where you are sitting, whether sitting with your spouse or your business partners, by yourself, with your kids, or whatever the case is, say this together with me. Jen, I commit that as soon as I know that I too can win with property investing, I will go all in. So it's okay right now for you to say, look, I'm watching you. But the moment you see that you can make that commitment, put your hand on your heart and say, Jen, I commit that as soon as I know that I too can win with property investing, I will go all in. Once you believe that, I know that that commitment will come to pass, because you've made that commitment to yourself. Okay. I've seen this so many times when people commit and they go all in and they truly manifest their dreams. And at this point, I just want to give a quick introduction onto who I am for those of you that may not know me. My name is Genevieve Stafford Jack. I am a serial entrepreneur with an absolute obsession for helping entrepreneurs get started in property investing, among many things. Property investing has given me that time flexibility for me to explore other passions to create income streams. But I always go back to property investing so that I know what is going on the ground. Okay. I draw strength from my husband, as you can see him there on the picture with me. I'm so proud of him. I just want to say, hey babe, if you're watching the webinar on YouTube, or if it really successfully streamed live on Facebook, I'm not too sure about that one. I want to say congratulations for being nominated as one of the 2 finalists in the big leagues. Leroy and TJ. Leroy is the one that led us into property investing. Leroy and TJ are the finalists in this category. There's a number of different categories. So just 3 years later, my husband is nominated as a finalist in the big leagues. So guys, we're not playing with what we're doing. We decided we're not dabbling. We're going all in. We are those folks on the right-hand side. We are not the folks on the left-hand side. So we decided that we are going all in. But nonetheless, as I was sharing with you, nothing gets me more excited than to share, impart, and also help somebody else start out their property investing journey. You see, I launched my book earlier, it was 2 months ago, actually, in September. And my book is called Property Investing for Beginners. And in this book, I write about the beginning, our journey. And as I shared with you very shortly, we got ourselves into 5 million debt, not because of ignorance, but because we trusted. And that's the way I see things. We trusted, and we trusted too much. So nonetheless, we had, my husband and I started several businesses, and a number of businesses we had to close. And ultimately, we eventually bought a 21-hectare farm. And on this farm, we did chicken farming. This all while we had our 9-to-5 job, right? And in this chicken rearing business, when we got a big contract, we spoke to neighboring farmers and pulled them on board and said, guys, we got a huge contract. We know that sometimes in the chicken business, it can be quite slow. So let's go in this together. Somebody didn't tell us that the chickens are sick. So in that, our chickens got sick. They started collapsing. And the long and short of that story, the thing I like to highlight all the time, because it still amazes me, a post-mortem for a chicken is 750 Rand. The Limpopo vet did that post-mortem for us. In fact, the vet and a few students came to the farm to do that post-mortem. And it was in this that we started bleeding heavily. And the long and short of that is that we eventually had to kill off 5,000 chickens, clean out the 4 coops. Each of the coops held 5,000 chickens. So that's 20,000 chickens later, clear out all the coops and fumigate, do what we needed to do. And 6 weeks, no activity on the farm. And I'm sure that explains 5 million debt, especially to the farmers that understand, or those that understand what it takes rearing chickens. But nonetheless, for me, I want to say, if you have not got that book yet, go to my website, FHC, Faith, Hope, Charity, consulting.co.za, and download and consider that a gift from me to you. Download that book because it shares about our journey. It's also very humbling because when I wrote it, I was going to sell it. But when so many people downloaded that book, I could not get it over my heart to sell it. And that's why I give that book out for free, so that if I can impact your journey, so that you can start your journey off on a better foot. Because some of the things I learned, yeah, hindsight is just another story. Some of the things that I learned that I could have done when I was in corporate, some of the things that I learned that I could have done with a bond, some of the things that I could have learned that as a small conglomerate of corporate people, we could have gotten out of the rat race together quicker. So many of those things I just want to share with you this evening. So I want to say, go to my website, get that book for free. I'll give you that moment. I'm sure you wrote it down. F for Faith, Hope, Charity, fhcconsulting.co.za. But my entire goal here, guys, is not to get soppy, but really to let everyone understand from where you are, how you can use the property investing fundamentals to get started from where you are. We were 5 million in the hole. In fact, when we started, it was a growing hole. We had not known what the number was until 2, 3 months later. And when we faced the number, the best thing that we could have done for ourselves is look at that debt straight in the eye and understand it for what it was. Because from when we knew what it was, we were then able to tackle it piece by piece. Let's sell off the farm. What are we selling on the farm? How can we make the best profits of what we have from on the farm while we are busy mining our new opportunity? And we straddled the lane. Why? Because we knew we needed to get rid of that particular asset. So enough about me for now, okay? But I just really wanted to share with you who it is that is sharing this information with you. So getting started in property investing. For me, this is all encompassing. And I know that we've got a little bit of time together. So I'm going to try go very fast, but just really share with you how, especially in hindsight, I learned what I could have done had I known what I known when I was in corporate. Even though in 2005, I bought my first 2-bed, 1-bath, but I felt stuck for a moment. And I'll talk more about that in a little moment. So one of the things I want to say in getting started in property investing is that one needs to commit. If you don't commit, just like the dabblers, you dabble, you don't get much for your dabbling. You go all in, you get for going all in. So one of the first things I want to say is commit to the journey. Commit to finding out as much as possible. Go past the stage where you consume and you don't do anything with the information. I want to say commit. Why? Because when you commit to your growth, you go far. So my question is, are you committed to investing in your time? Are you committed to saying, I'm going to go all in once I understand that property investing can help me achieve my next goal? Are you committed to investing your time? I ask that because oftentimes we'll say, look, I don't really have much time, eh? And when we say we don't have much time, I want to then ask, did you watch the new Batman movie? Well, when it was new. Did you watch the end of Game of Thrones? That took up a lot of time. So if you were able to watch that, then certainly you've got a lot of time. And I also want to say, I'm not a stickler about it, but I just want to draw comparison when I was committed. There were times I just reckoned there's a reason why there's catch up. And catch up, I did very well when I needed to let my head down. All right. The next question I want to ask you is, are you committed to learning new skills? Because when you learn new skills, you grow. It's not like corporate. You learn new skills and then you need to harness what you're doing as a manager for 5 minutes and then you need to do X, Y, Z. And then after a year, no, when you learn new skills, you grow. And that's one of the things I learned from the informal sector. It's the informal sector that's made me more money by learning and applying the new skills that I had gone to get. Are you committed to investing in your mind? Because this takes up a lot of real estate, I like the pun, in your mind of how am I going to use this new skill to start writing my resignation letter? Or how am I going to use this new skill to the best of my ability so that I can win and achieve my next goal in property investing? Remember, I said earlier, there's 3 nuggets that I love that Andrew had shared. One of them for me is what I want to share with you. Learn and plan. Learn and plan. Invest in yourself. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Sometimes I know that in this Joburg that we live in, we can take forever and a day to get to work. When you're driving, there's nothing wrong with 702 and 947 and all of those different radio stations we listen to. In fact, it informs us a lot of things. But could you, at least your commute to work or your commute from work, generally I like the two because your mind is fresh. Could you listen to a podcast? Could you listen to something off of YouTube that's got some substance to it, right? Can you actually start finding new friends? Because you will lose a lot of friends, and you will lose them not because they don't like you anymore, but because you don't talk the same language, or you may be committed to to applying your new skills, so you don't have even time to do the things that you used to doing. Because let's face it, the things that you are used to doing hasn't brought you that resignation letter, but this potentially can. Guys, I want to find out from you, does this make sense, what I'm sharing? In the chat field, please type in 1. When I see the number 1, I'm gonna interpret it as, yes, Jen, that makes sense to me. Fantastic. Boom, booyaka. I love it. You know, when I see the chats coming in, it gives me that oomph to keep going. So I'm gonna keep going, okay? I'm gonna keep going. And then I want to say, when you get into the learning and planning space, just take notice of the things around you. Literally immerse yourself in the new skill that you've learned, but not only emerging yourself. At some given point, you need to take action. In fact, I say the number one principle, or the number one most important skill for a property investor is to take action. So I want to say, I dropped a word. Jen, you've just said property investor. Yes. I want to ask you for a moment, just for a quick moment. What is it, or when somebody says property investor, what is the first word that comes to your mind? I want to challenge you, go into the chat box. Tell me, what is the first word that comes to mind when you hear the term property investor? Okay, cool. I see money. Okay, there's a lot of you that are saying, I see a lot of money. It's somebody that's well moneyed, somebody that's inherited a lot of money. Oh, okay, cool. Guys, every other answer that I see coming through has got to do with money. It's got to do with money. So I want to put this to you for a moment, but just for a moment. Write on your piece of paper, property investor dash money. Because right now, the comments are still coming through. I rest my case. I rest my case. I've actually been learning on Zoom that you can click on reply all to panelists and attendees. So if some of you can switch that on, so that at least you can all see what you're answering. I know that not everyone does that, but if you're comfortable and you don't have a problem with it, just switch to reply to all panelists and attendees, so that everybody else can also see what you're sharing as well. I know I'm creative, but not that creative, making up stuff here. So the most important, or rather the number one most important skill an investor can make, is knowing when to take action. Because taking action sets you apart. There's a lot of people that consume information, but when you start taking action, it starts changing your life step by step. So fantastic, guys. I still see a lot of you coming in with money, of some synonym of money. Some people see Gucci bags. Oh, you guys are killers, man. Oh, come on. Gucci bags. Oh, that is so funny. Oh, Gucci bags. I'm going to remember that one, hey? Oh, I'm going to remember that one. So I love it. Guys, just write that one, okay? Somebody remind me towards the end of this why I ask you to write that. Okay. So now, in terms of property investing fundamentals, this is what many of you are here for. So one of the fundamentals in property investing is raising funds. And I've got big on the screen why waiting for funding will cause you to fail. I first want to address that one. As an entrepreneur, I know at some given point, I'm in conversation with many entrepreneurs. I mean no harm or disrespect for the next few statements that I feel personally around funding. If you can put money together yourself prior to getting into entrepreneurship, kudos. I know I'm not the best one to give advice for that. I took a leap of faith. It was a crazy leap of faith. And with that crazy leap of faith, funds eventually came in order for me for the first 3 months. So I only really had my back for the first 3 months. After the first 3 months, I was dead in the water when I didn't come up with any sort of contracts. So I just want to make that confession. However, would I change it? The only thing I think some days I would change is not being as hasty as I was, and probably finding my feet a lot more in property investing and property investing yielding before I just took my madness to a new level. However, what I want to address is that in property investing, one of the number one questions I get all the time is, where will I get the money from? And this is what I want to share with you guys. If you're going to wait for funding, you're sitting in a job right now. Are you actively looking for funding? Are you actively looking for funding? So if you wait for funding, I truly believe it will cause you to fail. Why? Because at this point in time, you don't have money. You're not looking for funding. So it means you're going nowhere slowly. Did you know that you can use your bond? You can use a bond. You can go out and buy a property, bond it with the bank, okay, and collect rent or do a flip. Those are the two traditional things people know. But shortly, I'm going to share other strategies with you, okay? But you can raise funds by going to the bank, getting a bond, and getting a property that you can get money from and have other people pay for that property. And then refinance and get another property. And so the process goes on. For me, that was one of the things that dropped. Like, had I not been hasty, had I not been in 5 million debt, and I reminded myself that sometimes we start from a beginning point, and I can't say had it not been, maybe I would have just sat there and not realized the resources I had. So there are some days I do still have a moment. But one of the fundamentals in property investing is raising funds. Where will I get the money is the question I often get asked. I want to say to you, not unless you've got a what is it called? Shark Tank, a Shark Tank idea, which that too can also cause you to fail. Because if we didn't plan, we didn't learn and plan ahead, we can also get into a lot of trouble with hoping one day for a Shark Tank idea. What are the other ways of raising funds? Could you not talk to family members and say, guys, can we put a little something together? I know family's contentious. It's okay. It's a suggestion. Use it, don't use it. But you know what? I've come across a group of people, professionals. A lot of them are in engineering of some sort, okay? And they put money together. And they literally have it in an account. And when they see an investment opportunity, they go and buy it cash. So what is fascinating about them is that they've taken action. However, what I would love that they learn is buy differently. They've proven that they can save money. They've proven they haven't taken each other's eyeballs out yet. But could they now buy differently? And what do I mean by that? When we get to strategies in the next slide, I'm going to be talking about the different types of strategies that there are. So why are we waiting for funding? Because waiting for funding will cause us to fail in property investing. Can we not think of other creative ways of raising funds? It's a question. For me, had I still been in the working environment, working off my debts, the way I understood working off debt was the bad debt, and then getting a bond to do some of these things, absolutely. But does that take away from my journey right now? No. Because you see that deal that I was telling you about just now, when we found this property and TJ had to put down 1,000 deposit. See what was beautiful about that? There's a strategy called joint ventures. That's how we raised funds for that particular deal. And we call property investment opportunities where you can make money from. One calls it a deal. So if I say deal, is it okay that I am referring to a property investing opportunity, meaning a property where I could make potential money from? I'm calling deal, not potential money I could make money from, okay? So that's other ways to do that, right? In terms of strategy, I want to share here at this point, I know what it feels like to fail. However, now I know what it feels like to succeed. You know why? Because I started learning and applying, and I learned something called joint venture. And that joint venture was instrumental in us breaking our 4-minute mile, because somebody else had to come in with the other 159,000 surely, right? That was one way. And then another way that we learned is something called sourcing. It's like you a real estate agent for an investor. There are investors that got money, but they don't have time. And that's one of the things that I do very successfully. And that's how I create my income stream within the property investing space. Like right now, I'm looking for an investor on a deal that went semi-wrong, but I had an exit strategy. My exit strategy is now to look for an investor that's got money, and they've got money over 1 million. And I'm able to position to them, there's an opportunity, you can go in with 1.3 and come out on the other side and sell it for 2 million, or what? Do these other strategies. There's a strategy called passive income. Many of us know we buy a 2-bed, 1-bath, we rent it out to a family, and they pay us rent. However, there's other strategies that are called multi-let, meaning if I've got, for example, a 3-bed, 2-bath, what could I do? I could rent out each room to a professional. Yes, I can rent out each room to a professional. And if one of the 3 people don't pay me, then I have got some sort of safety net. But now if I've got this 2-bed, 1-bath that I'm renting out to one family, they don't pay me, where am I going to get the money to pay my bond? So we need to think cleverly in the strategies that we roll out. There's another one that is quite famous these days. All the early adopters have jumped on it. Airbnb. What if you had a 2-bed, 1-bath and it was in an area that's close to amenities? Could you not do the Airbnb thing? And one of the craziest things I've ever heard is, Jen, I'm working. If somebody's locked themselves out, how am I going to go in the middle of a working day to go and open the door for them? And that's when I say, there's property management for that. In fact, one of my collaboration partners, his name is Gerald. This is what he does. And he's got Airbnbs of his own that he's managing, and he's got Airbnbs of others that he's managing, because this is what he does. Just like you'll find the just lettings that there used to be in the world that will help in terms of a management company. So we need to be able to get out of our own head and think, if I've got a 2-bed, 1-bath, they don't pay me, then I'm screwed. A lot of people have that. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, and I'm not saying it's right, because absolutely I've been in that space with my 2-bed, 1-bath that I bought in 2005. I renovated it to good standard. I stayed there for 2 years. And after those 2 years, I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to go on and rent elsewhere. And then somebody else is going to pay my bond. And then what? And that was where my property investing little streaks was like popping, And for me, I'm thankful that, almost 15 years later, that it hasn't died somewhere along the line, even though it died in between. But passive income can be made in multiple ways. And those are just some of the strategies I've mentioned. And like I shared, I know in our webinar, we've got a limited time. We're coming very close to an hour. So I really want to give as much as I possibly can. But at the end, I'll share a little bit more with you. There's also something called a cash strategy, which is your active income. Many of us know it as to buy a house that is broken down. We renovate that house, and then we sell it because it's all nice and smart again. We've brought it up to market value, meaning we've now got it in a working condition. So many of us know that is called a flip. In case you didn't know, that particular strategy is called the flip. And sometimes I hear the objection of, Jen, I don't really have the time. to be fixing things and. But I also want to ask you, where do you want to start? What are you going to make the time for? Remember, I said to you earlier, when you believe that property investing is something that can help you, will you commit to going all in? And this is where learning takes place. You learn other strategies, because the other one I shared with you now in passing 2 slides ago. I'm somebody that they call a sourcing partner, meaning a sourcing agent. I'm like a real estate agent for an investor. An investor says they are looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath, and this is how much that they can afford in this particular area. I'll have a number of investors that say that, and I'll go out because I know how to look for these opportunities. I know how to do what they call due diligence, basically meaning research of the area. And I'll get into that in the next slide about what due diligence is. And I know how to collect that data. So now I had a deal going on with somebody. Like any business, something will go wrong somewhere. Okay. I had a joint venture put together, and this joint venture didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. What was my exit strategy out of that joint venture? For me to source the deal. Now, in this process, I'm sourcing the deal and I'm looking for investors that can at least invest over 1 million into an opportunity. Yes, somebody will say, yo, that's a lot. But remember, guys, I've been doing this for a while and I've stretched myself into a different league right now. I used to find those opportunities that are 300,000. I used to find many of them to sell them off to investors that didn't have the time. And proudly so, I was successful in a lot of that. And I just decided, how am I going to push the boundaries here? So this was a deal I should have got into, but now I'm in this conundrum of, I'll sort out that joint venture contract, take that person over the knuckles. But while I do that, can I source the deal somewhere to somebody that is interested in buying a property, and I'll be able to take them through and introduce them to everybody, and they sign the documentation and do what they need to do. So there are these processes, especially this is for people that have got time. There are some people that are unemployed. Could they find a job in doing this? Absolutely. That's another income stream, as I was sharing with you. Because first we spoke about raising funds, right? And then we spoke about strategy. Understand what is your strategy that you are going to do in this. You will feel a little bit pressured if you just get into a 2-bed, 1-bath and you're getting rent from one family. But if you can do a strategy that means a little bit more, then surely you can get a bit more out of that. And in here, due diligence and research. When you're researching the area, it means you're driving in the streets, down the streets, up that street. You literally, this is the house, and it's like you're making a box around that house with driving to understand what do the houses look like in that area, or flats, whatever the case is. What does the properties look like in that area? What are people doing with that? And just watching the activity in that area. And then going on to property 24 and looking at, oh, in this particular area, how much are they selling? You're starting to collect all this information. And that's all what they mean by due diligence. It's like you're collecting data to understand what is the footprint of that particular area. But then you may ask, but who will help me? Finding that property opportunity. You could go onto property 24 to find these rundown houses. You can call a real estate agent and say to them, you are looking for a house that is run down, and you can start your property your property journey in that particular way and doing the relevant research to it. And then when you've done the research, you know you've got the funds, you know the strategy that you've got in mind, but you've driven through the neighborhood to see what the neighborhood is saying, what is happening in this neighborhood. Okay, now you know who's going to help you, but then you say to yourself, but in this neighborhood, if I get a rental of 15,000, but my rates and taxes and electricity and things like that comes up to say 2,000 rand, it then means my rental income, which is 15,000, minus this 2,000, which is monthly operating expenses, then equals 13,000. But by the way, why did we not include the bond? So let's go back. So we'll then say our income is 15,000. The monthly operating expenses, what is my bond? And what is the utilities? If that comes up to 13,000 and then you're left with 2,000, does this now make sense to you? And this is what we mean by analyzing the numbers. Because in the neighborhood, would you agree that if you're speaking to a real estate agent, the real estate agent will be able to tell you what is happening in that particular area? Now, based on that information, now you drive around that area to find out more of what's happening in that area. You're collecting more data. And by you collecting more data, you're going to then get into a space where you are able to create your own lane. Because now you've got a local team, meaning you've got a real estate agent helping you to find these property opportunities, or you're driving, or you're actually asking somebody in the family that is not employed, please, can you drive around this area and find out more information on what goes on in this area? You're creating your own lane within property investing. So I want to ask you at this point, is there a light bulb that has gone on? Have you had a light bulb moment thinking, if I am in corporate, whether I'm working a IT job or whether I'm working a finance job or whatever it is, can I go to the bank to ask for money to help me start my property investing journey? Now, coming back to the word earlier that I asked you to write, property investor. Do you see that this word sometimes can be also used very loosely? Do you see that if you, where you are right now in your corporate job, you can go to the bank to get a bond? And this is good debt, guys, because you would have worked out and analyzed things. You would have said, I know what strategy I'm going in. The area that I'm looking to buy, I know I'm going to buy a rundown house. I'm going to work out what is my rental income and minus the monthly operating expenses, which is my bond, and all of these other utilities that come with it, and see how much money is left behind. Because gone are the days of supplementing. That's a traditional way of doing property investing. That's how I started. I got stuck in my property investing journey in 2005 thinking, now where to? So this is why I said earlier, much earlier, sometimes I go through that piece of regret. Like, what if things were different? What if I knew what I knew then? What I know now, I knew it then. But then I wouldn't be sitting here. I may not be sharing this because coming from the back foot, from where I've come from, my husband and I, there's a lot of things that we've gone through emotionally. There's a lot of things that we've pushed for. At one stage, I pulled myself out of this game and I said, this was the most retarded thing that we've ever done, that we ever could think or imagine that while we're here. But I'm so thankful that it didn't take me long. It didn't take me long. I sat and I had a conversation with my life coach. It did not take me long. Sorry, there's hojos biting me here. It didn't take me long because I then realized, my goodness, how could I go through my victim mentality like this? But I'm thankful that I got off my pity pot, jump back on the journey, all right? So I'm trusting that light bulbs are going on right now. So really just coming to an end of our webinar, or towards the end, because I value your time. Your time is precious to me. And for the fact that you've given me your time this evening, I'm absolutely grateful. And I trust that as I share the epiphanies that I've had, that it's also something that you would be sitting where you are right now, just thinking, oh my days, did I not realize I had these resources in my hands? So I want to ask very quickly, guys, does this make sense to you? And if it makes sense to you, I just want you to type the number 1 in the chat box while I take another sip of water. Awesome. Well done. I'm so thankful for that. Guys, some of the other questions that came in right now, well, as I was going along the way, I promise I'm going to address them shortly, okay? Because some of them I do think I have already addressed, but I'm going to just pick up a few questions along the way and then address them. Is that okay with you? Okay. Somebody knows. Somebody's got my saying cool bananas. I like to say cool bananas. Awesome. So on this note, I just want to say, do you have what it takes to find property opportunities, property investing opportunities, whether it's a rundown house or an old-fashioned looking house, and turn it into something using a strategy that will bring you in a lot more money than just a simple buy to let. I've got nothing against the buy to let. I always just say to my students, if you are going for a buy to let, then just make sure that you've got some sort of backup plan for the just in case they don't pay you. But of course, there's other ways to make sure that they do pay you, but just in case. So I want to ask you this question. Do you have what it takes? And why I ask you that question, because we need to change the behaviors that we currently have to shape them into committing to not dabbling, but going all in. We need to be able to change the behaviors that we have and say, what can I identify today in me that needs to change? Could it be your commute to the office in the morning when you're listening to 947? Could you change to listening to a podcast? Could you change to listening to an Audible book? Could you change to listening to maybe a YouTube video you may have downloaded? Could you change to something that's going to feed your mind? Because earlier when I was saying getting started in property investing, you need to be able to commit to learning new skills. You need to be able to commit into your mind. And that, I believe, takes time. It takes some sort of harnessing. And when you acquire opportunities, do you know what to do with them? So this is why our mind at this given point needs to be retrained. Somebody said this to me a couple of years ago, and I thought, I kind of get where you're going to, but nothing has become more real to me than this quote in the last 3 years. It has resonated, it has manifested and resonated and manifested so many times. If you want to achieve success, all you need to do is find a way to model those who have already succeeded. I want to come to a close very shortly with that particular quote in mind. By modeling others, ask yourself, when I'm networking, when I'm out and about, what am I doing? And I'm not against socializing. There's always a time and place for that, right? Are you networking with like-minded people? If you're not, you've got this awesome set of friends. Maybe start dropping these questions in their space. Hey guys, what do you think a property investor is? Do you know that you can become a property investor using the bank's money? Do you know that the 5 of us together, while we are still here in our work, we can go out, get the information on how to, and we can form a little group and buy houses together for us to start signing our resignation letter today already? See that sort of questions. What is it going to do in the current space that you're in? Because I can guarantee you, I've lost a lot of friends that way. The only reason I lost them is because I was busy about minding my business, harnessing this new skill. And when I pulled myself out of the game, I found a life coach that was able to help me here, because I knew it was so much that was going on in here that was stopping me. I had so many limiting beliefs at that given point, but more so, my husband and I had been in multiple businesses before. And part of my limiting belief was, not is, what if this doesn't work now? How much more debt will we be in? And the second one, which was the biggest one, is that him and I don't work the same way. I don't want to work with him, so this is not going to work. And then I realized, wow, what a limitation I set on myself. When I came back in, I then acknowledged to him and myself, I love the fact that we are two individuals in property investing. We are going to go down different routes because of the way we are talking about what it is, but we are wanting to get to the same end result. So if our end result is to provide for our family, let's do it in the way we know how. Can you play in your lane and I play in my lane? And right now, he's got the most awesome property wife, I mean business partner. I tease her that. He's got the most awesome business partner and they work really well together. And for me, that's when I realized, boom, I just saw things differently. I came back, and when I moved forward, my like-minded people, my friends grew in a different circle. And I understood that because sometimes people are in your life for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. And earlier I shared with you that I wrote a book. And just in case earlier you didn't get the link, go to FHC Consulting, Faith Hope Charity Consulting.coza, and you can pick up your free book. Plan to win, don't plan to fail. Because oftentimes we plan to fail and we think, hey, what the heck, what's going on here? We're wanting to avoid all obstacles where we can rather focus on winning. We're focusing on not failing. And at this point, I know some of you may feel this way. I know that very well. We've just covered quite a bit of information. So many realizations I had on, I was sitting on my own resources, raising funds. I never would have thought I could have gone to the bank multiple times to raise funds to get my property and raise funds in the form of a bond. I never thought at that time that there would be a right way to form a small little conglomerate to actually buy properties together, all in the name of this little conglomerate, all of us having the same sort of outcome. I never fathomed that there was more strategies than buying and renting one house or one flat, or buying, renovating, and selling. I didn't think there was more than these two. I learned so much more. Analyzing numbers, I knew that somewhere along the line, whatever rental income I get should cover my bond. And traditionally, they used to say, you know what, supplement for X amount of years, because rental incomes go up, your bond is going to stay more or less the same, not until the basis points shift. Then you're going to get to a point where your rent and your bond is going to make this gap. And this gap is now going to pay for your utilities. That's the way I understood property investing before. And I'm so thankful for the learnings that I had gone through. And with this, I want to ask you one last time, if it is okay with you. I know you spent all this time with me. It's just over an hour that we spent together. I want to find out from you, would it be okay with you for me to share about a special offer that I put together? Because I knew that in an hour and a half, that it's not going to be possible for me to share everything that I've learned over all of this time. I want to respect your time, but I also want to respect the fact that giving so much new information can also be quite overwhelming. So would it be okay with you if I share this special offer? If it is okay with you, I want you to drop in the chat field the number 2, just the number 2, just so that I've got comfort knowing that you on the other side, I am here, we're almost at the end, and you are okay with me sharing about this particular special offer. Wow, I'm absolutely humbled, guys. There's so many number 2s that came in. I'm thankful. Just spare me another few minutes. I'll make it as quick as possible for you. For those of you that feel like, no, actually, I've learned, I respect the fact that if you want to exit the webinar at this given point, there's no problem with that either. Okay, So thank you so much for giving me permission to share with you about my special offer. For me, I've got so many reasons why I put this special offer together, but more so, I know what it feels like to get started. And for me, when I am sharing with my new students, I speak to those that are just getting started or those that are stuck, because I know those are the two people that I can absolutely help hands down. Okay. Now, I've created a 1-day property investing bootcamp. This investing bootcamp has a number of modules in it. One of the first modules that you will get before you get into the classroom is called Beliefs in Failure and What It Teaches You. This is pre-training and will get you into thinking about a few things. I've created a workbook so that you can just listen, pause, write, and start working through before you get into the class. You know what I'm saying? I feel that that is so important, because I know how I built a monument around, or rather, should I say, I know how I made myself a victim around failures before. I built this monument around failures, how I'll never get past it. And I didn't realize how I constructed this in my mind. And I certainly know that this has helped me. And this is why I created this pre-training for people like yourself that are starting. You may feel overwhelmed. And for those of you that are stuck, feeling flip, how am I going to get more? How am I going to be able to scale more so that I can get further than where I am? In this 1-day property bootcamp, when we meet on the Saturday, we get to speaking about getting started in property investing. We go more deeper into the strategies that I spoke about this evening. We get to talking about using other people's money. This evening, all I just touched on was bond money. I touched on potentially if you want to be a few people that get together to buy property. We're going to delve even more further into it. And then we're going to go into, so what is the making of finding that property opportunity? And then I really created something really special. There's 3 deals of all the property investing opportunities that I've done that we call deals, that I've got lessons that I feel that are so valuable that I want to table with you at the training. And then talk about the life cycle of a property investment opportunity. And all I mean is, how best can you utilize that particular property investing opportunity to bring you the most money? And certainly going into a deal calculator on how can I work out that income minus my monthly operating expenses, which is your bond and your different utilities, to see if it gives you a cash flow. And creating this particular course, I've taken some time to do that. In fact, May this year, I launched this course, and each step of the way for 6 months, all I've just done is reshape and remold, add to it, take from it. Why? Because of all the students that came through my doors that said, explain a little bit more about that. This is quite obvious. Don't spend so much time on that one. Just getting feedback, shaping and making and molding this particular course. When I took it through to my business coach said, well, this is valued at 8,997. I was thankful and I said, okay, cool. Now that I know the value, I'm going to keep that in mind. But I want to do special things for people starting out, because there are some days I really wish this was done. But on the other hand, I cannot negate the special things that were done in my journey, my and TJ's journey, where people took time out to have that conversation and really just spend time with us. What I've done is I've added some bonuses. So over and above the course, this 1-day property investing bootcamp, right? I've created a bonus. It's called a personalized coaching session, which then means before we get to training, not only will you go through some pre-training, you will also have a personalized one-on-one coaching session with me, so that you can share with me what are the different things that you feel like you want to learn in the course, what are the different things that you want to take away from this course, and how best can you utilize the information that you have learned from this course. I put it together because I know factually, when you have that conversation before getting into the classroom, your measure of being relaxed is so much more better. And that for me is what I'm wanting to create this journey for you. That is valued at 997. All right. What I also have done is I've gone ahead and got this book called Powerful Entrepreneur. It's a small ebook, but they say dynamite comes in small packages. In this ebook, it talks to you about the different fears entrepreneurs go through, the different things that we can prepare ourselves better with, the different types of job opportunities or working opportunities that they are out there as an entrepreneur. So there have been entrepreneurs that have come through my doors. They've read this book and said, I have not only applied this book in my property journey, but I've also applied in my entrepreneurial journey. And I know many people also want to leave work and start their own passion inspired business. So this particular ebook, I literally sought out the master resale rights. It cost me $100. Firstly, I got to speaking to the author of this book, and he said, because you've got the master resale rights, you can add content in here as you so choose, and you can have your name on the cover. And I thought, well, that's not what I was looking for, but awesome bonuses, right? But what I was looking for is, can I make this an offer and give to somebody that is in my space for free? Why? Because I also understand how the content in there has helped shape my mind, because I just thought, in terms of some of my beliefs and what I thought were my failures, how now I can use those as opportunities to impart, just as I'm doing right now. And a drum roll for this one. You get this bonus, guys. You get this course. In addition to this course, you get bonus number 1, bonus number 2, and bonus number 3. This is in addition. Okay, this is a bonus. This is a gift from me to you. This gift is to attend an M5 Property Addicts breakfast. They're having this event on the 14th of December here in this very Johannesburg in Florida, right? They have valued this breakfast at 399 Rand. But what I do know is that in their community that they are sharing this opportunity with, they are not pricing it at that, but I know what they valued it as. I know how much has gone into it. I know how much preparations is going into it. I know people that are putting the event together. Why? Because they want to make it a seamless event and also like a nice little breakfast to end off the year. And what they will be doing at this particular breakfast, okay, is one of the many strategies that we will touch on. Because at the end of the training, I also give you a list of profitable strategies that you can use, that you can think about. So just imagine we touch so many of these different strategies within the boot camp. And then the following week, you attend a breakfast where you literally see a business manifesting one of these other profitable strategies that you've just read about. I think that is absolutely, absolutely super cool at this given point, this point in time. On top of that, training is done in an intimate environment. And what I mean by intimate, in my new way of doing training, I do not want more than 7 people in the class by choice, right? Why? Because it gives me the flexibility to go off chart if I need to. It gives me the flexibility for us to stop and you ask the question that you're asking. And I'll always give you one of 2 answers. The one answer will either be, there's content that will cover that. Can you write down this heading? Because this content will cover it. When we get there, when we complete that content, then say, Jen, you said this is going to answer this question, but I don't feel like the question is answered. Can you now answer the question for me? That is the one way I'll answer. The second way I'll answer is then saying at that point, yes, and then I'll be able to explain it because then I feel that it's applicable to that. That's why I like my classes small. I like that intimacy that it gives. I have trained anything from 1 to 12 people all the numbers in between. And I've had such a pleasure and honor doing that. Why? Because I've given specific, specialized attention to everybody that is in the class. Over and above that, you will also get a light lunch that's provided for you, secure free parking, and the training is happening in Fairlands in Randburg. All the small nitty-gritty details of where it is and whatnot will be shared upon registration. So guys, not only are you getting the one-day property bootcamp, not only are you getting my personalized coaching session as a bonus, the book that I sought out master sale rights for, and you get to attending for free because I am taking care of this for you. I am taking care of this for you. You get to attending this for free, this event at M5 Property Addicts. You also get fed, and it's going to be in a small environment so that at the end of the day, we know the workings of you understanding property. Now, all of this, when I sat down, I like to consult to understand that I'm on point with what I'm doing. All of this is valued at 11,997 Rand. In fact, it's a little bit more because I stinged away from some of the other numbers as well. The Rand dollar and the other stuff that I'd got into the entitled, into the powerful entrepreneur. But all of this is valued at 11,997. I didn't even include at this point your parking. I didn't include your lunch. I didn't include all of the other stuff. But for me, it was just about your learning, okay? But I choose to want to feed you while you're there, while learning, so that you don't worry about that. Now, all of this is structured just for you to get off the starting blocks in the most amazing way possible. Now, I want to ask this question. How much would you pay to get started the right way in property investing? We paid over 100,000. While we were cash strapped and in debt, we paid over 100,000. And I want to ask you, everything that I put together for you, like I've shared with you right now, you will get this one-day property bootcamp. On top of that, you will get bonuses that will structure your journey going forward. If you're feeling like you're afraid as an entrepreneur, how are you going to take the leap of faith? Can you read this book that's going to help you shape your mind, shape your goals, shape your destiny in terms of being an entrepreneur? Can you get a one-on-one session with me? We do this online. I even give you the recording so that you can see where you were day one versus maybe 3 months from today in terms of taking this leap of faith. All of this is valued at 11,997 and then some. However, I have discounted it to 1,997. I've discounted it to 1,997 because I understand what it feels like to go through the process that you want to embark on. I understand what it feels like when you feel like you're drowning and things don't make sense. And at the end of the day, you just want to get off the starting block. And can you do that in a skillful manner, piece by piece, so that you can digest the information? Which is why I recognize that, yes, I didn't want to make this webinar too long. I tried my best to condense it, but I also didn't want to take away the essence in teaching you all of this. So I want to say at this given point, there's only 7 seats. Only 7 seats. I have put in another training session for this month, which is the 7th of December. And the 7th of December, you can go right now to my website to attend the training for the 7th of December. Everything that you're going to find that I've spoken about and then some will be on this particular link. And I want to say to you, the 7th of December was something that was put in because I was asked, Jen, could we have one more before we close up the year? Last week was my last one. However, when there was a request, can we have one more before we close up the year? And this is why I've decided, let me share right now with you. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me this evening. I absolutely give you permission to go ahead, click on the, oh, well, you can't quite click on a webinar, right? Type out this particular link, go into the shop, when you click on that particular training, it's going to be available. It's going to share with you how you can go about doing this particular process. In fact, if you don't mind, what I can share with you very, very quickly is if we go in and we open up so you can see here, I was trying to go on to linking up to the different places. But yes, if we go in here, this is the link that I have had on, when we go on there, I've got it with the shop. So you're able to go onto the shop. When you go onto the shop, because that link, if you type it straight away, okay, then you'll be able to see here. Let's see, I close and accept these cookies. When you click on this one here, it's then going to show you and take you through to the boot camp that is happening on the 7th of December. Because when you click on learn more, it will take you through. I just thought I would share that one with you very quickly. So let me get back into here and continue sharing with you the slide. So at this given point, all I need you to do, go into that particular link and you'll be able to click on that link, okay? When you click on that link, it's going to take you through to a detailed training and you're able to just click on add to cart and then go about your merry way. So while some of you are doing that at this given point in time, I just want to share with you just a few pictures of students that have come through my doors and have found value in taking on this particular opportunity. So go through to genevievejack.com, the shop, and you are able to book for the 7th of December. And booking for the 7th of December will save you the seat, one of 7 seats that are there. These are just some of the students that had come through. This is one of the days when I invited TJ just to come and share. Small environment, like you can see right there. We usually share in a very small environment so that we can learn in the best way possible. So I want to say this evening, thank you so very much for attending the webinar. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. And if anything, I look forward to meeting you on the 7th of December. Those of you that's going forward, then the week heading up to the 7th of December, starting from the 2nd of December, I will then have personalized coaching sessions with you. And having those personalized coaching sessions with you, I'll then be able to share all the artifacts with you. But as you register, I get the information coming through to me and I'm able to release all the information through to you so that you can decide, hey, I am moving forward. Thank you so much for all the bonuses and all of the things that there is to offer. So at this given point, I want to say thank you so much. You have a blessed rest of the evening. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Take good care.